4. This is the problem where we ended yesterday, yes? Yeah, we will go back to those. I want to get to these first. Now looking at this here, since we do have the two tangent lines that intersect outside the circle, the angle outside the circle, in this case, will be 6x minus 10 is equal to 1/2 of the bigger arc minus the smaller arc. But out of these two here, we are still missing the smaller of the two arcs. Now we know the bigger arc is 240. Well, together these two add up to be 360. So to find the smaller, we can take 360 and subtract, which would give us 120. So the value of y in this case is 120. So to finish out the formula, we have 6x minus 10 is equal to 1/2 of 240 minus 120. Now we can simplify this here. 240 minus 120 is 120. Now at this point here, we could multiply everything by 2, or we can just take 1/2 of 120. Half of 120 is 1. Now at this point here, we need to solve for the value of x. So the first thing we can do is add 10 to both sides, telling us 6x is equal to, and last but not least, we can which will tell us x is equal to 35 over 3 if we reduced 70 over 6. 35 over 3. 35 over 3 is the value of x. Y is 120. We could say that x is 11 2/3. 35 over 3, those will be the same thing. If it is a nice decimal. So 0.25 would be a nice decimal. 0.3 repeated is not a nice decimal. Any questions on this here? Questions on 45? Yeah, it's the same thing. Exterior angle is equal to 1/2 of the bigger minus the smaller. Now this one here, it's not nice to multiply. This one here, multiplying by 1/2 wouldn't be as nice, so we can multiply both sides by 2, because 2 times 1/2 will cancel, leaving us with x minus 60. 48 times 2 is 96. At this point here, we can add 60 to both sides, telling us x is equal to 156 degrees, but 156. Yeah. Because we could have multiplied 60 by 1/2, but then we'd have to double it in the end. Yeah. Because it would have been 30 plus 48 times 2. Questions on any of those here? We're ready for the next two. Questions on 46 or 47? 46, our interior angle y is equal to 1/2 of the two angles, or two arcs, added together. We'll deal with x in a minute. Now the first thing we can do is combine like terms. So negative x plus 7x is 6x. 30 plus 42 is 72. Now we can distribute the 2x, or the 1/2, or we can multiply both sides by 2. Which one do we want to do? Multiply the 1/2 through. If we do that, 1/2 times 6x is, and 1/2 of 72 is 36. Well, we do have an issue because we have how many variables? 2. We can only solve for 1. Well, what is the value of x? These two are vertical angles, so these two would be the same. So x is 45, which is helpful because it just tells us y is equal to 3 times 45 plus 36. 3 times 45 is 135 plus 36, 171. So y is 171, and x is, and that's it. Questions on any of this here? Because we could have gone about it another way and said that these two angles here add together to be. So 180. No, it's not. Well, it's not that it's half a circle. It should make a straight line. It should. So it's 135. Make sure. 6x. So it should equal half, 36, 72, 135. Something a little weird with this one here. 1/2 of those two added together, which is true. 42. Yeah. Because I think the back of it says 135, doesn't it? For y? Yeah. I think it's just I need to recheck the paper because we didn't even really need to do the calculations for that. You're good. Yeah. Yeah, it should be 135 and 45. Yeah. So x is 33. I think I removed that. Yeah. Don't worry about that one because I think to fix it, all I got to do is remove the 45. But yeah, because this should be 135. Two angles that make a straight line have to add together to be. If this is 45, what does this have to be?
Oh, so you just 180 minus 45.
Y has to be 135. So this here, I think, needs to be gone. Because that's true, it means that 135 is equal to 1/2 of these two angles added together. So negative x plus 30 plus 7x plus 42. I need to fix this one, is what it's sounding like, because 135 is equal to 1/2 of 6x plus 72. If we multiply by 1/2, 35 is equal to 3x plus, let's see here, because it goes into it, 36 minus 36 from both sides, telling us that 3x is 2, 9. 99 divided by 3, x is 33. Yeah. I really need to remove this x from it because this is what the answer should be, is 135 and 33. I keep forgetting to remove that x. Yeah, I mean, this needs to go away. 135 and 33.
There's two x's. That's what I was about to say when you were trying to find x. There's x's.
Yeah, this x here needs to be gone because that's throwing everything off. Yeah. Yeah, the other one, with how the problem's set up, needs to go away. And I've probably said that in times past. And I keep forgetting to remove it. There we go. That is fixed. But do we understand how to get the concept? Questions on 47. Because what would y be here? And 120 and x. Yes, but not quite, because these two have to add together to be 180. Because what you're thinking of is an inscribed angle. So x and 120 add together to be, so x plus 120 is 180. So we'd minus 120 from both sides, which does make x 60, but that's not quite the way to get there. Because
Your both right angles at equal 90. Can't we do 180 plus 120 to get 300?
yeah, because again, it's a four-sided figure, and the sum of the interior angles, four-sided figure has to equal 360. Questions on any of this here? Yes. Because if it is an inscribed angle, so the vertex is on the circle, but here the vertex is at the center, so it's a central angle, and the measure of the arc is equal to the measure of a central angle. Inscribed. Inscribed is on the circle. So this here would be an inscribed angle because its vertex is on the circle. Yes. Question? Okay. Any other questions on these here? Questions on, let's see here. We already did 46 and 47. Questions on 48 or 49? 49. So our product, this length times this length, so x minus 2 times x plus 1 is equal to the product of the other two, so x minus 4 times x minus 2. Now at this point here, we do need to distribute, so x times x is going to be x squared. X times 1 is going to be plus x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. We can do the same thing with the other side. X times x will be x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. And negative 4 times negative 2 is plus 8. Now at this point here, we can combine like terms. So on the left-hand side, we will have x squared. But our x minus 2x is negative x. Minus 2 is equal to, well, just like the left-hand side, x squared is the only term with x squared. So we have negative 4x minus 2x is negative 6x plus 8. Any questions on how we got to this point here? Well, the first thing we can do is subtract x squared from both sides. On the left-hand side, x squared minus x squared is 0. On the right-hand side, x squared minus x squared is 0, leaving us with negative x minus 2 is equal to negative 6x plus 8. Well, what can we do next? We can add x to both sides, which will tell us that negative 2 is equal to negative 5x plus 8. Then we would minus 8 from both sides, telling us negative 5x is equal to divide both sides by negative 5, telling us x is equal to 2. Really, from this part down, there's different ways we could have gone about doing it. We could have added 6x to both sides, or we could have added 2 or subtracted 8. We just have to pick one to start with and go from there. But in the end, we should get that x is 2. It just asks for the value of x. So that's all we have to do for this here. Any questions on 49? Any other questions on number 49? Any questions on 48? We feel good with 48? Because 48 will be the exact same problem. Mm-hmm. 6 times x minus 1 is equal to 4 times x plus 3. We would distribute, giving us 6x minus 6. Distribute, giving us 4x plus 12. Subtract 4x from both sides, giving us 2x minus 6 is equal to 12. Add 6, giving us 2x is equal to 18. Divide by 2, telling us x is 9. Questions on this here? If you're ready for the next two. We have questions on 50 or 51? 50. When we have two secant lines, we know that the product of the exterior times the whole is equal to the exterior times the whole. Exterior times the whole is equal to the exterior. I should spell that out. Exterior times the whole. Exterior times the whole is equal to the exterior times the whole. Now at this point here we can distribute. We can say 7 times x and 7 times 8. Well, 7 times x is going to be 7x. 7 times 8 is 56 is equal to, we can distribute the 8. 8 times x is 8x. 8 times 5 is going to be plus. Yeah, so we can subtract 7x from both sides. Minus 56 is equal to x plus 40. Then we can subtract 40, telling us x is 16. Questions on this here? Any questions on 50 or 51? Do we need to see 51? Because 51 will be the exact same, but instead of having x plus 1 and x minus 3, we're just going to have one term with x. Questions on 53 or 54? Because this here is tangent squared is equal to exterior times the pole. So 54, we'll have the tangent squared. So in this case, it's going to be the square root of 1500 squared is equal to the exterior, 24 times 6 plus 24, the exterior times the whole. Now in 54, we need to take the square root of 1500 squared is it cancels out, it's just 1500. On the other side, we can simplify first, because negative 6 plus 24 is going to be plus 18. Now at this point here, we can distribute. 24 times 2x is going to be plus 24 times 18 is 432. Now indeed we will subtract 432, telling us that 48x is equal to 1068. Now we need to divide this by 48. Then 68 divided by 48 is 32.25. And that's it. Any other questions on 54? I think this is getting to the end of it, isn't it? Now we can look at this here. Tangent squared is equal to the exterior times the whole. Well, 15 plus 12 is 27. Now we can do 12 times 27 and get 324. So x squared is equal to and in the calculator we can do the square root of 324 and get 18. Now we would have plus or minus on this here, but if we look back at the equation or at the graph picture, x is to the first power, yes? Which means this has to be positive. Because if we think back to the previous one where we had the plus or minus, the x or the value of x in the equation was squared. This one is to the what? First. So if I plug negative 18 in, it's going to say this length is, there's nothing to account for that negative. So the negative in this case does not work. Here it's only the positive case. Any questions on 53 or 54? We're ready for the next two. Questions on 55. 55 and 54 are the same except the tangent's not a radical. Questions on 56 or 57? What's the standard? Well, our standard equation for a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to the radius squared, where the center is the point h comma k, and our radius is r. Now, if we look at this one here, the center of the circle is 0, 0. And we know that because if we count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, it's at the center. So the center for this one here is 0, 0. And the radius would be 3. So for this here, we would say x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared is equal to 3 squared. Well, x minus 0 squared is the same as x squared. Y minus 0 squared is the same as y squared. And 3 squared would be 9. Questions on this here? Now the next one, center is at negative 6, 6, and the radius is 4. So we'll plug it in. X minus negative 6 squared plus y minus 6 squared is equal to 4 squared. Well, the negative and negative would make a plus, so we get x plus 6 squared plus y minus 6 squared is equal to 16. Because if we're given a graph or any of it, we need the center of the circle and the radius. Because if we have the center and the radius, we can find the equation. Any question on these two here? Are you ready for the next two? Find the center and the radius. Well, again, we said x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Well, h and k is the center. So for this here, the center, so we have x minus 4. The x value of the center is 4. If it's negative inside the parentheses, it comes out as positive, yes. If there's not a value or a set of parentheses with x or y, it's understood to be now this here, 21 is radius squared. So we need to take the square root of 21 to find the radius. Because what we're saying is that r squared is equal to 21. So radius would be whatever the square root of 21 is, which is square root of 21. And that's it. So the center, yes, and the y value would be 4. So the center is negative 3, 4. So positive inside the parentheses, it's going to come out as negative. Now the radius, r is going to be 10. R squared is 100. R is the square root of 100, so the radius is 10. Questions on this here? We ready for the next two? So the center is negative 4, 2. Radius is the square root of 3. And exactly, we'd plug it in. So we'd have x minus squared plus y minus squared is equal to the square root of 3 squared. We're just plugging it into the formula. Yeah, because the negative and negative would make a plus. So we'd have x plus 4 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 3. And for 61, we would do the same thing. X minus 0 squared plus y minus negative 4 squared is equal to 18 squared. Now the x minus 0 squared we can just rewrite as x squared. Y minus negative 4 is the same as y plus 4 is equal to 324. And that's it. Questions on these here? Let's look at 62 and 63. So the center of the circle is 2, 7, and 4, 12 is point on the circle. So we need to find the radius and go from there. So we need the distance formula. Now for us here, we're going to use these 2 points, so the 2x values. 4 minus 2 squared plus our 2y values. Order doesn't matter, but we need to put both of them in. The x's together, the y's together. We can't mix those up. Now at this point here, if you want to plug the entire thing into the calculator, you can. If we do it by hand, 4 minus 2 is 2. Plus 12 minus 7 is 5. 2 squared is 4, 5 squared is. So that gives us the square root of. Now it doesn't reduce, but it does tell us that the radius is the square root of 29. Now at this point here, we can plug it into the formula. Now again, we've got to plug in the center with our x and y. So we'd have x minus 2 squared plus y minus 7 squared is equal to the square root of 29 squared. Now really the only thing we need to simplify is the radius. So it's just going to tell us that it's x minus 2 squared plus y minus 7 squared is equal to 29. Questions on this here? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we'll go back to there in a second. If it wasn't in here, it's not on the test. I mean, yeah. Any questions on 63? Yeah. We good with 62 and 63? Yes. 64 and 65 won't be on the test. We're not going to do diameter. Not so much that it's challenging, more that it's more time consuming than anything else. Yep, 31, 32, 33, 36. Yep, 34 and 35 are not going to be on there. And I think those, I can't even remember what those were. I haven't seen them. Yeah, I'm not worried about those. Now, looking at this here, what we're wanting to find is the radius. Now, for here, we're told that AC is 24. FD is 24. Now, it does work out that this length here is half the overall length, so it is 12. Let me put that in a little bit different color. 12. Now, the next thing we need to find for this here is the value of x. Now, as this is set up, it does work out that 4x plus 47 is equal to 7x minus 58. The only way that those two chords are equal and make a right angle with the radius is if they are equal. The distance between the chord and the center of the circle are equal. At this point here, we can solve for the value of x. So we can minus 4x from both sides, telling us 47 is equal to 3x minus 58. At this point here, we would add 58 to both sides, telling us that 3x is equal to 105. And last but not least, we can divide both sides by 3, telling us x is 35. Any questions on how we found the value of x? Now, what we have to do next is we've actually got to plug it in, because we need to find what one of these two lengths is. I'll plug it into 4x plus 7, so we can say 4 times 35 plus 47. Now at this point here, because we are running low on space, 4 times 35 plus 187. So this length here is 187. That is a massively large length. Yep. Now at this point here, this is a right triangle, so a squared plus b squared equals c squared. One of the side lengths is 12. The other is 187 squared is equal to c squared. Now 12 squared plus 187 squared, 12 squared plus 187 squared is 35,113. Now at this point here, we take the square root of both sides. So the square root of 35,113, this would be nice if 187.38. Would be the answer. Now we don't need the plus or minus because we're talking about a radius, a distance, and it has to be positive. And I believe that does match up with the answer key, yes. That does seem like a bizarre. Yeah. Because we're looking at, 30. So 35 and 187.2. Or close to it. Questions on this here? Do we want to look at 31? You all finish right? It looks very nice. So we know that those two lengths are 7. And we want to find this length here. Now the two overall lengths of B, C, and ED are going to be the same. So we can say 3x plus 8 is equal to 6x minus 64. At this point here we can subtract. Yes, that's going to make a big difference. 80. So we have 80 is equal to. No. Just the glare of the screen, I saw 8 instead of 80. Now at this point here, we would add 64 to both sides. Minus 3x is equal to 144. At this point here, we would divide both sides by 3. Telling us x is equal to Any questions on how we found the value of x? Now, just like with the last one, we have to plug it back in. 3 times 48 plus 80. 3 times 48 plus 80 is 224. Now, specifically with this one here, we're saying that the whole length is 224. But we don't want the whole length, we only want half of it, so this would be 112. So for this problem here, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, so we're saying 7 squared plus 112 squared is equal to c squared, or the radius squared. At this point here, we can plug it into the calculator. 7 squared plus 112 squared is 1259.3. We can square root both sides. Second square root 1259.3 is 112.22. And that's the radius. Any questions on any of this here? That is